Hey, this is Deepesh, and this is the third and final part of the 3N ads formula. So we've been through the first two parts, so I'm hoping you've seen the other two videos. This is all about convert. So we've talked about stopping the scroll, we've talked about engaging the user. This is now about converting them into an action. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some examples of best practices to consider when it comes to conversion as well. So let's jump straight in. One of the key things that people do often overlook is telling people what you want them to do. So in this example, and I'm not saying this is a great ad, but in this example, what you can see is there is copy at the bottom, but they're calling out what they want the person to do. So pick yours now, emoji, link, we want you to click. And I've seen this in my own experience, and this is something for you to test, that having this does make a difference to getting that click-through rate. So it's such a subtle nudge, but often what this does is it just focuses people on what you want them to do. So if you go back to the example of the N2 and where I talk about getting people from their goals to your goals, this is all part of it as well. So if someone's going to be in your target market, they're interested in a cami, and this particular design appeals to them, then you've got the persuasion going on. So the extra 5%, pick yours now, and then get them to click through as well. And one of the other things I also want to highlight with this particular ad is the social proof. This is such a big part of what will convince someone to click and take notice. So in this example here, if you'd seen this ad and it had zero social proof and the copy was as basic or as bad as it is here, you might overlook it. But with nearly 7,500 people liking it, and the comments and the shares, etc., that now builds a bit of curiosity. Like, okay, over 7,000 people have liked this, maybe there's something in it for me as well. And social proof does work, but done in the right way. And what I mean by that is a kind of old school tactic is to build up social proof from countries where the CPMs are really cheap, and you can get really low cost per engagements and rack up your likes in that way. The problem with with that kind of approach is it starts to dirty your page as well. So you will rack up a lot of likes from some of these countries where maybe you're less interested in promoting your products or your brand. And when it comes to things like page analysis and also the engagement on your page, it can have a negative impact. So my preference, my advice is don't use that approach. I know people still choose to do so. I would recommend against it. If you're looking for social proof, run a page post engagement campaign, make the ad really attractive, interesting, etc. You can do it that way as well. And if the creative's good, the targeting's good, and the copy's good, you'll get the social proof as well. Sure, it won't be as cheap as running it in countries where the CPMs are cheaper, but it's a more kind of better long-term way of doing it as well. The next thing I want to talk about is being clear on what's coming next. So in this demo ad, I've just kind of illustrated in the copy of making it clear what is going to come up when you get them to take the action that you want them to do. So in the copy here, I'm talking about, I'm about to blow up your revenue, you in, just hit the sign up button below and I'll email you my 49 tips on making big impact changes to your business today. So I'm telling you to hit the sign up button below, and I'm telling you that I'll email you the 49 tips. So already you know that I'm going to ask for your email, you know that I'm going to email that to you as well, and I'll do that today. So there's a few key points that I'm getting across here. But also think about adding urgency as well. So urgency can be used in the right way to just nudge people along to taking that action sooner as well. So in this example, someone might say, all right, yeah, I'll just come back and do it later. But now in this example here, I'm giving them a reason to act today. So sign up below and I'll email you my 49 fast revenue growth tips, plus act today and receive a bonus growth swipe file. So now all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, all right, that sounds pretty cool. 49 tips plus a bonus growth swipe file. So obviously this is just demo copy. Who knows what a swipe file could be. But that's just an example to illustrate how you can add a bit more urgency in as well. And the other thing about getting people to convert is your call to action. Facebook are continually adding new ones in, so there's watch more, there's sign up, see menu, etc. Play around with your calls to action. Quite often what I find is the kind of softer calls to action work higher up the funnel, so for your colder and warm audiences, and then when you're ready to kind of hit them with the direct response ad, then get them to book now or sign up, etc., etc. So just kind of have a play around with different ways of converting. And the key thing here is remembering that you are nudging them. If you are trying to kind of force them to do something, generally you won't get your way as well. So in the kind of approach of the 3N ads formula, nudge number 1 is to stop the scroll, nudge 2 is engage, nudge 3 is convert. But within that there are mini nudges as well. So what you're trying to do, and going right back to the 3N ads formula, it's all about getting people to do what you want them to do in a non-coercive way. So you're not forcing them to do it, you're persuading. And that's what this all comes down to. It's marketing 101. Marketing has been going for decades and centuries, and the concepts don't change. The human mind hasn't changed fundamentally in the digital age as the non-digital age. So when you're thinking about your marketing, your creative, and even if you're thinking about, who can I look to for ideas and inspiration and things like that, I've taken a lot from people who are doing marketing and advertising 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, because their principles still remain. And a lot of people who repackage it now for the digital age are just taking what was done before and kind of updating it, I guess. But the marketing principles don't change. One of the key things which I took away from David Ogilvy was writing down all of the kind of customer barriers. So what are they likely to say no to? So if you're trying to sell them something, what are they likely to bring up as a barrier? What's going to be their defense? So if you're selling a product, it could be, I can't afford it. Right, how can you make it affordable? Or if you're selling a product and they say, well, I'm not ready to buy yet, how can you bring urgency into that? So just in that kind of approach, it's thinking about your prospect, what the opportunities are for you, what the potential barriers are, and breaking them down. So it's kind of attack is the best form of defense. And if there isn't a defense that's going to be brought up by the user, think about breaking those down and test these different approaches with your copy, with your visuals, your creative, and ultimately get them off of that newsfeed and into your flow. So whether that's an email sign up or an e-commerce purchase, or maybe it's just to watch the video, but you want them to stop that scroll, get them to engage, and then ultimately to get them to convert by using a series of nudges. And that's what the 3N ads formula is all about.